The Netflix era has begun. We're talking all things WWE, AEW. We're watching SmackDown right now. Let's go. We are here. Are we here? I think we're here. I'm here. Oh, there he is. It's Big Johnny North.
What's up, Dave?
You know, watching SmackDown, doing the thing. Bianca Belair just did a kip up. It's a fatal four-way match we're watching to determine the new number one contender for Tiffy Time, who is the WWE champion. And it's a fatal four-way match featuring Nia Jax, Bianca Belair, Bayley, and Naomi. That was just set up by a promo that we saw on SmackDown. It's a new SmackDown format. It's a 3-hour SmackDown. We saw that for the first time last week. And this time, though, easier to find on Netflix. I've enjoyed the Netflix experience for the WWE. It's been smooth and easy and just nice. I started watching a little bit late after 8 o'clock, and like they went to break on the show. Like it was like, okay, coming up, whatever up next, and they go to break. But Netflix like skipped over the commercials even while live streaming. That's nice technology right there. That was nice. I was like, ooh, you skipped over that little commercial break thing you have. And when they do go to commercial break, they just kind of show you wrestlers posing and a countdown of like, you know, how many minutes it'll be until they come back. It's pretty good. I've enjoyed that aspect of Netflix so far. I thought Raw was pretty good. You know, I thought the show delivered overall. We had high expectations. I think everybody was pretty pumped for it, and I think it delivered. I don't know if it over-delivered. You know, I don't think, like, I don't want to bury the show or anything, but, you know, I don't think anything made me go, oh my God, this is incredible. But it was just nice to see. It was an enjoyable experience. It was cool for the wrestling business. As far as like any one match or any one segment being just kind of blow you away, I don't know if it had that. I mean, I think everything was very good. I thought Punk and Seth had a really good match. But, like, of course, early in the year, I don't know if we saw anything that was match of the year type of thing. I thought Roman and Solo was a lot of fun, you know. I don't know. What did you think overall of the show, John? We'll break it down kind of, you know, certain segments. Obviously, we got to talk about Hogan. We got to talk about The Rock. We got to talk about Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns. But overall, what did you think of the show? Did you like it?
Well, first, if you don't mind, I'll just talk about the whole Netflix experience so far, switching over from Sportsnet. I find it's dramatically better. It's unbelievable how it's so much easier to connect everything. Right away, Netflix, what do you have? Like phone, TV, computer, boom, will connect you easily. Sportsnet, it was a nightmare to connect to anything with that. And always buggy, always a problem. I'm so glad I don't have Sportsnet anymore. Like Netflix is just so much easier, and it's cheaper too. It's only like $6.89 a month or something. Like for the Sportsnet, I think it was like $17 a month or something. Like this is incredible, and I haven't looked at it all the way through. I know there's been some complaints about the lack of content, but I feel there's already more content on Netflix than there ever was in Sportsnet. Sportsnet was really hard to find, like WWE archives. So already Netflix so much easier to navigate, and to me, I don't know, maybe it's just the way I was doing it. Maybe I was doing it wrong on Sportsnet, but it just looks so much better, the picture, the quality, Netflix, everything looks so much better. And now that they're on Netflix, they've upped just the whole presentation. Like, I don't know what you thought about the whole setup for Raw, but I thought that was probably the best part of it, just how everything looks so much more crisp now. And, like, this looks like it's a whole other level. I don't know what you thought.
Yeah. I thought it looked very good. Production-wise, it looked really nice. I didn't love the ring with all the ads on it. I don't know if that's a permanent thing. It doesn't look clean.
No.
When you have matches with blood, it won't have the same effect because seeing the blood on the mat, that adds an extra element to it. And with the dark mat, with the ads on it, you won't be able to see that. So I don't love that, but everything else was cool. I thought it was kind of weird, like when they introed the show, they had like a curtain around the ring, right? And they do the nice video package, a history of wrestling, and look where we are now, and cable TV, and now streaming, and I got goosebumps, man. I got emotional watching that video package. It was very well done. And then Triple H is in the ring, and it's like, this is what it's all about now. And then the curtain comes out. But like the last shot on the video package is this nice ring canvas painted with all the wrestlers from the past, right?
Yep.
And then they reveal Triple H with the actual ring canvas. They reveal Triple H in the ring, and you see the canvas for the first time, and it's not the wrestlers. It's just some ads. Fortnite.
A lot of ads.
A lot of ads. Hogan beer, Fortnite, some other stuff.
Netflix,
of course. I don't know if that's going to be every week, but yeah. I don't love the blue mat right now on SmackDown. I like just the white, gray mat that they have. Normal, regular.
Well, it's just good that when you're watching Raw, it feels different. Watch SmackDown, it feels a little bit different. The main thing that I'm not a big fan of is the whole referee shirts. I don't know if you've caught that.
Yeah.
The referee shirts are the same on Raw and SmackDown. Like, you can be different. And they were different in the past. Remember SmackDown, they had the blue shirts?
Mm-hmm.
And that looked all right. Now they're all just wearing these black ones. And to me, it doesn't even look like a referee shirt. It's just like, okay, you dress nice in a V-collar kind of thing. Like, la-di-da. Like, that doesn't look like a referee to me whatsoever. So I'm a little disappointed in that. But besides that, I think the ring looks great. I find just the way they set up everything with the entranceway, fantastic. It just looks like it's next level stuff by WWE. They did a great job in terms of the presentation. I was not The Rock coming out, fantastic, cool. He's the first guy we see. And the promo was whatever. I wasn't a fan of the fact that Cody's just like a fan at ringside. And that's The Rock talks to him like he's a little guy. He's the WWE champion. And he's just a guy at ringside. And whatever about, like, I guess they canceled him and Cody, I guess, WrestleMania, whatever to that. I just thought you made the WWE champion look like garbage in your first thing you did on Raw. I didn't like that.
I don't know if it made him look like garbage. I mean, it was The Rock, one of the biggest stars of all time, putting Cody over, talking about how great of a champion he is and how great Cody is, which I thought was just odd for The Rock. I thought that did more damage to The Rock than to Cody. Like, last time we saw The Rock, he's the final boss. He hates Cody, Mama Rhodes, all this stuff. And then he comes back and he's like, oh, I love Cody. Cody's so cool, and it's all good now. I was like, what? What happened to the final boss? I was expecting the final boss to come out and say some mean things and be hilarious. Instead, we got Dwayne. We didn't get The Rock. We got the Dwayne, which, he's not my favorite version. He comes out. He thanks Netflix. He's thanking executives by name. That whole Rock promo was disappointing. It wasn't what I wanted it to be. It wasn't what I was expecting it to be. And it was a total shift of the character all of a sudden for no reason. And Cody didn't seem surprised. That was the thing that got me. It's like, okay, well, maybe The Rock has had a change of heart, whatever. Cody's just like, yes, thank you. We're friends. It's like, you're friends? What did I miss something? Since when are you guys buddies? When did this happen? I miss things once in a while, John, but I don't think I missed that. It was weird.
Did you see The Rock's promo on NXT?
Yeah.
So apparently, he's respond to your criticism already about that, saying that's all part of his plan kind of thing, which I don't know if it is or not. I think he's just responding to it, and he's just doing his whole Cody Crybaby thing all over again, which is fine. And by the way, I don't know if you caught it, because I watched it all not live, so a lot of it was just there'd be some empty air for a while, because I guess The Rock swore quite a bit, if I'm not mistaken, or I'm guessing here, he swore, and there's just blank audio for a while. I don't know if you caught that or not. Or
On what?
how was it for on Raw and NXT? Like, I guess he dropped some F-bombs or something, or said some things.
I didn't see anything censored on Raw. I watched it live.
Okay.
I don't know.
Well, NXT he definitely said something. I guess I'm mixing it up. Like on NXT he definitely dropped some stuff.
He swore on NXT. I don't know if they cut it out or not.
Well, it's just, again, the audio just like disappears for a second or two.
Oh,
So it's like,
I saw a clip of him saying the F word on NXT. He said "fuck" on NXT.
Well, the thing is, because it's on CW, right?
Mm-hmm.
Broadcast television. So maybe they
I was
couldn't
surprised.
believe it.
Well, that's The Rock. He can get away with anything he wants.
I'm sure. Nia Jax too tonight.
Yeah. On USA Network, Nia Jax called Tiffy Time an ungrateful little shit. And this match is still going on the 4-way, by the way, on SmackDown. What?
Were you not expecting the B word? Like, I was expecting that.
Yeah.
Like, okay, you can get away with that.
Yeah.
The S word? Ooh, pushing it.
I was a little surprised. But I don't know if we should be surprised by Rock showing love to Cody, because Rock has always been with Roman, and Roman is with Cody now, right?
Well, then that leads into what happened afterwards. And I'm like, okay, they buried the whole thing, like, because The Rock afterwards shook Roman's hand. So I guess that's all done. Like, they're just moving on to something else, it looks like.
Yeah. I mean, when The Rock came back last year, it was to wrestle Roman Reigns. He said he was there to wrestle Roman, because Roman was the champ and The Rock wanted to wrestle him. And then, people got mad and Cody came in instead, and Cody got the match, and then The Rock claimed that was the plan all along. Right? Remember all that, Sean? And we were like, no, it wasn't, dude. Shut up. What are you talking about? Well, and now he comes back and he's like friends with Cody. Like, none of it really makes a lot of sense. Why did Rock show up after that solo Roman bloodline match like a few months ago? You remember that? What was that show?
That was Bad Blood.
Yeah, why was he there?
To show up for whatever reason, just to,
He just looked at them and you go, "Ooh, this must be leading to something." That was like October, wasn't it?
It was first week, October 5th, I think.
There was no follow-up to that. He didn't address it in any way on Monday. He just showed up in October to stand there and look at Roman and Solo. Oh, Bianca and Nia just flew over the announce table. Bayley just hit her faceplant thing on Naomi, and Bayley wins. Bayley's the number one contender for Tiffy Time and the WWE Championship on SmackDown.
You notice the tables too, by the way. Like on Raw, it's like similar, like a marble kind of thing they have, and then it's the table. Like, it looks like there's a hard part, and then there's the actual table part. I don't know if you caught that or not on Raw.
I doubt it's marble.
It looked like it was like that. It looked like it was kind of
no
hard.
way it's like solid marble that they're taking bumps on. You know how painful that would be? Why would they set that up? Unless they want to solidify the announce tables and just stop taking bumps through the announce tables, but I don't see that happening.
But I like the whole new setup. Everything looked so much better than before, and it was just easy to watch. Like, again, long, but like for the first show, I think it's fine that it was like a little more than, I guess for me it was like 2.5 without the commercials. I guess for other people it was a little over 3 hours. I don't know if you watched it live, so maybe it was over 3 hours, but it didn't feel like a long show, which is good.
Yeah, it was good. It was entertaining. It was nice to see pro wrestling and pro wrestlers on that type of stage. You know? Like you're in LA, you're in a big arena, it's sold out. You're on Netflix. It's a big deal. You've got the biggest Hollywood executives. You got Ted Sarandos, the guy that runs Netflix. You got Ari Emanuel, the guy that runs a lot of entertainment, including the WWE and the UFC. He's the big boss. He's Nick Khan and Triple H's boss. He was there in the front row. Did you notice when The Rock came out, he went up to Ari Emanuel, hugged him, kissed him on the head? The guy that Rock kissed was Ari Emanuel. And then he went up to his daughters and he like gave them the belt. Didn't kiss them. I was like, what's going on, buddy? You don't kiss your daughters on the head or you kiss Ari Emanuel? It was a choice. But those people were there, man. Like, it was a big deal. Kieran Culkin won a Golden Globe on like Sunday for this movie he was in, and then the next day he was front row talking to CM Punk, cheering him on during his match.
That was cool. They had a lot of cool celebrities. It was nice.
And Kieran's brother Macaulay Culkin was there too, from Home Alone. Next to
Seth Green, yeah. Saw that, yeah.
So that's cool. The Culkin brothers, who I like. I'm a big fan of Home Alone and Succession, so you can't go wrong with that. They've done well, entertainment-wise, for me. They've entertained me.
I like the idea of celebrities around, but when you put, like, wrestlers there as well, it kind of made the wrestlers just seem like they weren't that important because they're just in the crowd. They can't be on the show. And I don't know if you caught this as well. Like, they go to the crowd, like, oh, there's a wrestler. You see that wrestler right next to them. We're not going to go to them right now. We'll go to someone else. We'll go to a celebrity. Then we'll go back to that right next to them where there was a wrestler. I don't know if you caught that a couple of times. And that wrestler's just like no-selling it the whole time when they're next to them. I don't know if you caught that. Yeah, LA Knight looked like he was pissed when Ray was like selling his Eddie Guerrero shirt.
I don't know. It didn't seem like such a big deal for me because it felt like when they go to the celebrities in the UFC. That's kind of how it is. Right. Like you'll see a celebrity and then you'll see like Chuck Liddell behind him and they won't even like acknowledge Chuck Liddell. You know what I'm saying? That happens all the time. If that happened in pro wrestling, people would be so pissed. Imagine like, Arn Anderson is sitting behind Seth Green and the camera never goes to Arn Anderson. They never acknowledge him, but like there's Seth Green and Macaulay Culkin in front of him. That stuff happens in the UFC all the time. So I don't think there was a slight there. I didn't see any slight because it was very UFC style. Like just gonna go into celebrities in the crowd. They do that at every pay-per-view.
Yeah, I don't find it so much a slight. It's just that, you're important now. Stand up, Ray. LA Knight, you're not important now. Just sit there. Don't react whatsoever. Just look like you don't even care, which it seemed like it. And then suddenly care because, we put the spotlight on you now. Like, at least Ray was kind of selling it before for him, like, at least was kind of caring. Some guys just didn't seem to care whatsoever. I think Lyra was the same way, too. Like, you notice, like, I think she was next to celebrity, didn't care. One spotlight on her, me,
Well, what's she supposed to do?
I don't know, clap, care, like, look like you're alive. A lot of them didn't look like they cared until the spotlight was on them.
I don't know. I think you're nitpicking on this one, John.
Probably, of course.
Yeah,
what we do here.
It didn't.
Little things.
I don't know. So I don't know what's going on with The Rock. It doesn't look like he's wrestling anytime soon, right?
Disappointing. That's really too bad. I mean, I thought Cody and The Rock, maybe throw Roman in there, and now it looks like that's all gone to hell. That's really too bad. I mean, they have enough people to make it work. You do something else, but you really wanted to see The Rock wrestle again. It's too bad.
I mean, watching Raw, it seemed like WrestleMania has kind of started to shape up.
Well, it seems like we're changing direction. It's shaping up, but it's going a different direction now. And it continued tonight, too, because now Roman's declared himself for the Rumble.
Yeah. Roman Reigns and John Cena are both going to be in the Royal Rumble. And you say Roman declared himself for the Rumble. He didn't really. He wasn't on SmackDown tonight. Paul Heyman came out and said that Roman was going to be in the Royal Rumble. and intended to challenge Cody and face him at WrestleMania and take his championship back. Heyman opened SmackDown tonight with that promo with Cody. Heyman also said it wasn't a prediction, it was a spoiler, and, that sounds pretty solid, but I think my money's on Cena.
Yeah, I had Cena for a while, I think. He was my original pick. Like, it hasn't changed now. I still feel him against Gunther. I know people are saying now it's him and Cody. It's like, I feel Gunther's the guy for Cena to wrestle. Sure, Cody's the guy, but I would just think Gunther was the one. Cody, like, for Cena, like, it's like David versus Goliath kind of thing, because Cena kind of put himself down a bit, saying he hasn't won a match in a while and say he doesn't know if he can do it anymore. This is kind of like putting other people over. I mean, I feel Gunther's the path.
I don't think so. I think I'm going to go a different direction with this, and you're about to hate it. I think it is John Cena and Cody, and I think John Cena wins, and then we see one last run for John Cena, because this is it for Cena. This is his last year in professional wrestling. He will never wrestle another match after 2025. This is it for Cena. One of the biggest stars in the history of the business is telling everybody he's retiring. It's over. And then he also told you that he's going to the Rumble, he's entering the Rumble, he's going to win the Rumble, and he's going to be champion again. And I think that they should go with it. Go with it. Give him his last run. You're going to get him for a year. He already said he's sticking around. He's going to be around a lot. He's going to be wrestling. He's going to be active. Give him the belt. Why not? Apparently, one of the reasons why The Rock isn't wrestling at WrestleMania is because he wanted them to focus on John Cena. Because it's John Cena's last WrestleMania. It might not be The Rock's last WrestleMania. If he wrestles Cody or Roman or whoever at Mania this year, he might wrestle next year too. But Cena is saying this is it. He's done. This is his last Mania. And I know, Johnny, you don't like John Cena, but you can't deny the impact he had on the business, how big of a star he is. He's an icon of professional wrestling. He's a household name. He's mainstream beyond professional wrestling. He's a good guy to put a belt on. I think it's Cena time. You see him running the ropes on Raw? He looked good. He looked in shape. He was moving well. He was moving well, John. He was moving better than, like, did you see? He was going off the ropes. Like, come on. He moved better than we've seen him move lately. He had not been moving that, like, his walking was kind of rough. When he was going off the ropes, I was like, oh, maybe he's got a little run in him. I think it's time. Your time is up. John Cena's time is now. Do, 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 do.
I mean, you can hope for that. Hope as much as you want. I mean, they're going to give him the Rumble at least, I think. So you'll have that moment.
He's going to win the Rumble, baby. And then he's going to beat Cody's jabroni ass at WrestleMania. It's Cena time. C-Nation.
We're going to see how really good Cody is. Because to carry John Cena to a good match now, that's going to take a lot out of Cody. I think Cody can do it. But it's going to be very difficult. I can't remember. Oh, my goodness. It's been a long time since John Cena's had a match I could say that was okay at best. It's rough now. Like, you, like, a couple years ago, admitted Cena's, like, done. Like, yeah. It's over for Cena.
He looked banged up.
He looked awful.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, like, I've been saying it for years, but I think people finally caught up to it. And now it's like, oh, it's his last run. Give him everything. Like, no, like, now it's like, he can barely do anything. Like, give him his moments at most and, like, let him talk and, like, you know, put over Netflix like everyone else did on the show. But we don't need to see him wrestle overly too much at all.
I don't know. I think he wins the Rumble and he wins at WrestleMania, because if he loses, I don't know where you really go from there after that with Cena. I think
a year, most of the year left.
Yeah, what do you do?
So you try to win Money in the Bank. He mentioned it. He could try winning Money in the Bank. There's so many different ways to get to the championship now.
So he's going to win the Rumble, lose at Mania, and then win Money in the Bank too? Why? It's so unnecessary.
As he said, like, oh, there's all the different opportunities. Like, he mentioned it, so why not? Go for it. It's your last Money in the Bank, right? Go for it.
No. One last run. He's going to be the champ. It's going to be awesome. The champ is here. It's happening. One more time. I think that's where they're going. I think that's where they should go. Either way, John, I think we're going to be talking about it a lot, because what we're disagreeing on right now is the finish to Cena-Cody. But I think we're both in agreement that it is looking more and more likely that Cena will be winning the Rumble and will be facing Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania.
Strong possibility. Again, anything can happen still. Like, who's Gunther going to face? Like, people saying Logan Paul. That's horrific.
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Yeah. And Logan's going to win, too. He's the champion of the Netflix era, and you know it. And do you see that promo that they did with Logan Paul? He's like, I'm fully dedicating myself to pro wrestling. I'm not doing anything else. It's like all in pro wrestling. If he's all in pro wrestling, making every town that they're making, like, on the road full time with the WWE, who knows? The guy is a big star outside of the WWE. He gets a demographic that the WWE is looking for. There are a lot of positives there. He's a good athlete. He's not terrible in the ring. You know, he's not as good as Gunther is, but few are. He is a natural heel. He is detestable. Everybody hates him. Even I, appreciate him, but I don't like him. I don't find him likable. I'm pushing for him to become champion, but I don't like him. You know what I mean? He's a heel. He's a good heel. He's not my kind of guy, and I feel like a lot of guys feel that way. But a lot of people do like him. A lot of kids like him. That Prime drink is really popular. And the fact that he's willing to be in pro wrestling, and if he's willing to really dedicate it and not just kind of come in from time to time, but be there full time, full on, yeah, I think, there are a lot of reasons why you would make him the champion and, one of the centerpieces of Monday Night Raw on Netflix to keep drawing people in. Like, I know you hate what I'm saying, Sean, but you can't argue with the logic of it. Like, there's a lot of logic there. It makes sense. I hate what I'm saying. Like, what I'm telling you, John, it's gross to me. It's bleh. I don't want to see this guy be a world. You think I want to see this guy, Logan Paul, this, like, non-wrestler guy, come in and beat Gunther, this all-time great, legendary type performer, at WrestleMania for the World Championship? What's been kind of a workman's belt with Seth Rollins and Damian Priest, and now Gunther? You're going to give it to Logan Paul after that? You think I want that to happen, John? I'm having an argument with myself, I realize. Like, you haven't said anything. But, like, I don't, but you know what I mean.
Well, I'm going to let you say your piece, because I'm going to say something right here. Because first off, and this is the big thing, like, out of all the WrestleMania matches that you could possibly book, you're going to book Logan Paul and Gunther. You could have Gunther versus CM Punk. Like, Gunther versus Seth, to be honest. Like, all these matches that you could potentially have, and that's your big Mania match, is that? Like, whatever about the whole, like, give him the title. Sure, whatever. But in terms of a Mania match, in terms of, like, putting on the best matches possible, that's your match? That's a match you look back on being like, why was this on WrestleMania?
You might be right. Or you look back on it as, oh yeah, that's when Logan Paul won the belt, and it started that whole thing with Logan Paul.
To me, it looks like another missed opportunity. It's just like Logan Paul can win it whenever. It doesn't have to be at WrestleMania. I feel like you give it to somebody else at that point, give him someone else that moment. Logan Paul can still have a run. He doesn't need to have that WrestleMania moment. A lot of other people who've actually wrestled most of the year, unlike him, who barely wrestled at all, I think I'd put them in that spot over him.
Mm-hmm. But how about this? Say it is Cena and Cody. Say it is Logan and Gunther.
Mm-hmm.
Where do CM Punk, Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens, and Roman Reigns fit into all of this? Do we see Punk versus Roman? Is this the favor that Punk cashes in for a big match with Heyman, to get a match with Roman? Like, is that what we do? What is the plan for a guy like, forget all the other guys, Roman Reigns? If he's not wrestling for one of the big belts, what's he doing? Kevin Owens seems to be hating everybody because they have befriended Roman Reigns. So you would think the end game for him might be a match with Roman Reigns. But I don't know. Is that WrestleMania? Kevin Owens, Roman Reigns?
I didn't think about that one. That's it. I would have thought, because we have the whole CM Punk favor thing, like it's going to be that match with Roman, I guess. Again, I feel like it's kind of a waste with that.
But kind of why, right? It's just like, because I want to have a big match against a big name.
Well, no.
What's the beef?
The thing is, if Heyman can promise him the main event, WrestleMania, that'd be a main event, right, of one night, is Roman versus Punk.
Would it?
And honestly, it's over.
Maybe night one.
Over Gunther and
yeah,
Paul,
probably night
sure.
one, and then Cody Cena night two. Mm-hmm.
So again, this is why that world title match is like, wow, it wouldn't even surpass that match. That wouldn't be a title match. Again, another reason why that match shouldn't ever happen, but whatever. It doesn't really matter. There's a lot of things that can happen. I think with Kevin, to me, him and Sammy, that makes a lot of sense. Kevin can fit with a lot. But Kevin and Randy, actually, there's a lot of things that Kevin could do.
Kevin and Punk.
Yeah, not so much that. I don't think
it'd be fun.
It'd be fun, but for the wrong reasons. I don't think that's going to work out. Weird that Cody's wrestling right now.
Cody is about to wrestle a match. It's Cody Rhodes and Big Jim Uso, taking on Tommy Tonga and Jacob Fatu. It's a tag team match, playa. They kept attacking each other tonight on SmackDown. They couldn't stop. Cody and Heyman were talking, and then Kevin Owens showed up, and he started berating Cody for shaking The Rock's hand on Raw when The Rock was his enemy before, and shaking Heyman's hand. And then immediately after, Heyman's telling him that Roman's going to take the belt from him. He's like, Cody, you're an idiot. You're trusting these people. You should have never helped Roman. And he says you should have let the bloodline rip Roman to shreds, because now you're going to let Roman get the WWE Championship back, which is going to hurt the entire company. Kevin Owens is on this crusade to stop anyone that has ever helped Roman Reigns against him, or just in general.
Right.
So, yeah, Sami Zayn makes sense because Sami has rejoined Roman after everything that happened between Sami and Roman, the Elimination Chamber match and all of that. The Usos, Kevin against Jey Uso or something. Makes sense, I guess. They could do that. Jey Uso's very popular right now. There are options for Kevin Owens, but because he keeps saying Roman Reigns, and he's just wrestling guys kind of because of Roman Reigns, to me, he has to wrestle Roman Reigns. He hates Roman so much. He wants Roman destroyed so much. Why doesn't he just do it himself?
It could be a team kind of thing if you think about it. The way it's kind of shaping up, I could see like Roman, Sammy and Jimmy Uso against like Kevin, like Drew McIntyre. I've thrown 2 other people there, but you can find 2 other people somehow, some way.
Maybe Solo.
Like, yeah, that's it. So Jacob fought too. Like, boom, right there,
Yeah.
I mean, is that a Mania match? Not so much, but I mean, it puts everyone on our show.
Yeah. Where does Punk go, though?
That's a great question. Again, Punk should be in a big match, like title match, but we'll see what happens. Like, they already gave the Seth thing away. You said Seth was a great match. Like, I thought it was okay. This is the problem when you take forever for a match and it's hyped for over a year. The expectations go super high. And again, it was okay, but I didn't think it was amazing. And I don't think it lived up to the hype.
What was your match of the night?
Oh, that was the match of the night. I mean, it was easily the best thing they saw, but it wasn't as good as I was expecting, though, sadly.
It was pretty good. And Punk winning was a bit of a surprise.
Yep. All faces winning the whole night was an even bigger surprise, I thought. But, I mean, let's make everyone happy because they're paying a lot of money. Again, I guess they broke some more attendance, and let's all cheer that. So,
yeah.
Got to keep people happy.
I noticed the backlash on that is starting a little bit. It's like, I've been saying it for, 3 or 4 years on the show? Like, WWE keeps talking about how they're breaking attendance records in every arena, and the fans keep cheering. That's not something we should be cheering. They're just telling you that they're not adding more seats. They're selling the same amount of tickets that they've always sold. They're just charging you a ridiculous amount for those tickets. And then the fans go, "Yeah, you broke attendance, right? You broke the gate. You made more money in this arena than you ever have before. This is great. This is because of you. You're paying for these tickets, fans." And the fans are starting to wake up. Like, I'm seeing more people online going like, "Hey, wait a second. They're just charging too much for these tickets. That's why are we cheering for this?" And it's like, yeah, no shit. People are starting to wake up, John. It takes me, I think I'm about 3 to 4 years ahead of wrestling fans in general.
Well, you saw I looked it up, the whole tickets went on sale for SmackDown before Elimination Chamber in Toronto. And I think the most expensive ticket is like $1,000, I think. And I think it's $8,000 for the most expensive for the Elimination Chamber.
Yikes.
So, yeah. And that's without, apparently there's actual taxes that are going to be involved, import fees or something that add to that. So it's even more than that. Mm-hmm. That's always nice, a little extra. So just think about that. You if you went or something, you spend like a good easy $20,000 just on tickets alone. That's not a hotel or anything like that.
Well, those are for like ringside seats, John. I'm not going ringside. That's crazy. It's so expensive. No. It's nuts. I'm not doing that, John. I don't have $20,000 to spend on wrestling tickets. Sorry. They're going to price me out of going to shows, maybe. They're going to price out a lot of people.
Well, that was another thing, too. Like, I saw the tickets for SmackDown. They looked very similar to, like, the Montreal pay-per-view tickets. So they've kind of changed it where TV is, like, what pay-per-view prices used to be, and now pay-per-view prices have even skyrocketed even higher than that.
Yeah.
So it's, wow. If I were you, I'd be kind of worried about the next live event in Montreal because it's going to be quite expensive, I think.
I'm not that worried. Okay. It is what it is. We'll see how much it is. I mean, what the cheapest seat in Toronto for SmackDown I saw was like $100, right?
I think 72 if you go like right at the back of that big ass stadium.
So you don't get, but that's not the Sky Dome, right? For SmackDown, that's at the arena.
That is. Oh no, wait, you're right. It's a Elimination Chamber. That's the Sky Dome. That's at the arena, Scotiabank. Yeah.
Yeah. So whatever. It's not so bad. I mean, if they start charging stupid prices for tickets that are, halfway decent, well, then you get worse tickets and you pay less, or you don't go,
That's philosophy. I
Yeah.
100% agree with that. What's completely.
Is what it is, man. I'm not going to pay stupid money for what I know is whatever. It's
Well,
an okay
you
product.
you have in the past been like, oh, I have to have good seats, be at least like, in camera view. Like used to always like that,
Yeah.
but I can understand the change. It should change because it's too damn much.
Well, we'll see how much tickets are. I'm not saying I'm giving that up, John. I'm just saying we'll see what the prices are when, if and when they do come back here for something. They're not really doing house shows anymore, so if they come back here, it's going to be for TV, and they haven't announced anything.
I think you're hoping more Raw than SmackDown at this point.
Obviously, Raw's the A show now, right?
Yeah, I think it's fair to say. I mean, things happen on SmackDown. There's like one or two things where you're like, okay, that happened. Like you said, Cody came out, we've set up this match, and it's a happening. And that's about it.
I mean, the match is happening. That's true. But what has actually happened on this 3-hour episode of SmackDown? It's a pretty uneventful show. Bayley is the number one contender for the women's title. Angelo in the chat. Thank you, Angelo, telling us that the match will take place next week, Tiffany versus Bayley on SmackDown. So that's good. Shout out Angelo. Shout out to CSL Lorne, Patrick Deneau, Leor, all the members in the chat tonight over at join.ringsidereport.net and membership.ringsidereport.net. Thank you for supporting the channel. Leor says 3 hours of SmackDown is too much. I agree. It is too much SmackDown. I agree with Leor. He is correct. It's a long show. It drags. It feels like Raw used to feel like before it went back to 2 hours, which was kind of a nice little break. But it's just very long. We have a lot of matches that mean nothing. And they're just there for no reason.
Well, I saw Ryan said that it's going back to 2 hours in June, so we just got to hang on for the next couple of months, I guess.
Yeah, I did see Triple H say that SmackDown was going back to 2 hours. I didn't know it was in June. That's good. So, that's reasonable. It's a little much. This 3-hour SmackDown. Like, what has happened on this show? We know that Roman Reigns is going to be in the Rumble. We know this not because of Roman, but because of Paul Heyman, because Roman couldn't be bothered to show up.
Right.
And we have a women's title match for next week.
Yep. And we had two title defenses. And I think one match, they said again, ends in a no contest because LA Knight got attacked.
I thought that was a disqualification. LA Knight, Tama Tonga and Jacob Fatu were causing all sorts of trouble backstage, and they were trying to kick them out. Security was having trouble, and then LA Knight just kind of pushed them out, and they were kicked out of the arena that way. So then when LA Knight was wrestling Shinsuke Nakamura and had him beat for the U.S. title, Jacob Fatu and Tama Tonga came back out and started attacking LA Knight, which prompted Cody and Jimmy Uso to make the save and set up this tag team match that we're seeing right now, which I think is probably going to end in a non-finish I don't
know about that. It's Cody.
Well, where's Kevin Owens?
Oh, that's a great point. Yeah.
I mean, this whole night started with Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes brawling and disappearing, and then Cody Rhodes reemerged, but we haven't seen Kevin Owens since. Did Cody kill him? We have no update on what happened to Kevin Owens. So I'm assuming he will come back at some point in the next few minutes, John, as SmackDown wraps up here. And he will be involved in the finish of the match, either costing Cody and Big Jim the match or just causing a no contest, disqualification, what have you. No? KO's got to show up. Or maybe a post-match attack of Cody, But I think we'll see Kevin Owens again.
It could be a post match, won't end there. Sadly, I thought they had to finish there possibly, but no,
Too early.
yeah,
It's
too early.
56.
Well, again, post, like you say, post match, like kind of thing that happened, like they could talk to, So, and like SmackDown, if I'm not mistaken, last week it went off the air like after like 11. It went a little bit extra, didn't it, last week?
I don't know. You may be right.
So I feel like
Right.
with this, like with Netflix, they kind of do what they want. They're flexible, not just with Raw, but I think SmackDown as well.
And there's Kevin Owens showing up.
Yeah.
And Cody meeting him on the ramp and fighting him, punching him. And I think they're going to brawl away, which they did on Raw.
Yeah.
They did earlier on SmackDown. And now again on SmackDown, they just punch each other and disappear. This is what they do together. They brawl and disappear. It's a magic trick that they do. They start a fight, and then we never hear from them again, and no one questions whether or not they're still fighting. Have they killed each other? No one knows. No one cares. Like on Raw, Roman and Solo are having their match, and Kevin Owens showed up and attacked, and then Cody came and jumped on Kevin Owens, and then they brawled through the crowd, and they disappeared. No one asked, like, what happened to them. It didn't matter. And then on SmackDown earlier tonight, Kevin Owens shows up, says some things. Cody goes, attacks him in the crowd. They brawl away. They disappear. And now during the match, they've done it again. And Cody has abandoned his tag team partner, allowing Jacob Fatu and Tama Tonga to take over on Jimmy Uso and get the win. So as I said, Kevin was involved in the finish in a really, really dumb way. Because Cody was just like, what? I'm just going to punch Kevin Owens. Forget about you, Big Jim. I'm calling him Big Jim because apparently everybody calls him Big Jim, according to Big Jim. Big Jimmy Uso. Oh, there we go. We're having a follow-up on Kevin and Cody. Finally. They're back. They're fighting each other still.
So
Through
timely.
the crowd now. Great.
A great time to come back when the match is over.
Yeah, perfect timing. Unbelievable. Now they're on
You
a
must be
road
loving-
case. They're going to do a bump to finish SmackDown, John. You ready?
Looks like
Hey.
Kevin's got some nice shoes on. Looks like.
He's got some nice blue shoes. And he's about to do something to Cody through some tables. Oh, or is Cody going to do something to Kevin through tables? Those two tables look set up for somebody to bump through them. Maybe they'll both bump through them. Double bump. There we go. Tackle,
Bump.
and they bump through the tables together to the floor. Oof, that's hard floor under that.
Well, the table helped break the fall.
Yeah, still.
And Cody took
Decent.
a power driver. He's fine. Like he's still walking.
Yeah, I don't understand. Last week on SmackDown, didn't Cody tell us that he wasn't medically cleared, and then Kevin Owens beat him up?
And yet he was in a match today.
And then tonight, like, Kevin Owens shows up, attacks it, like they start fighting, and then he starts fighting with the Tonga Loa or the Tama Tonga and whatever. And then Cody's like, put me in a match. And like Nick Aldis is like, yeah, all right, fine, let's do it. So I guess he got medically cleared. Or they just forgot about all of that because it was inconvenient because they need Cody to wrestle tonight because they had no main event.
Maybe. Looks like they're trying to fight each other on the ground still.
Nah, it's over. Show's over.
Oh, it's over.
Wow. So they tackled through a table. They fell off a road case in the arena there to end the show. Kevin and Cody bumping. Getting ready for that big bump match, the ladder match at the Royal Rumble for the championship. I'd like to see Kevin win. I don't think he will, but it would be pretty cool if he did.
I think we're starting to see here, like on Raw, they're clearly trying to try decently hard to put on like matches you want to see on the show. Where SmackDown, it's like, well, this is what we have, and deal with it.
Yeah.
It feels like it's not easy to watch. I mean, they give them time to wrestle, and they give us matches. I think maybe did we have more matches than we had on Raw? I think possibly we did.
Possibly.
But I don't know if I really cared too much about all this. I mean, Raw, like it seemed like it was important. SmackDown, not so much.
I mean, we saw Chelsea Green beat Mi Chin, rolled her up with a handful of tights to retain the U.S. title.
Sloppy, very
Yeah,
sloppy match.
it was not great. We saw Los Garzas beat Pretty Deadly after Elektra
Upset.
Lopez distracted the ref, which allowed Santos from outside the ring to knock Elton Prince off the top rope. And then Los Garzas hit a tag finish on him for the win. Cheating to beat Pretty Deadly. But, I mean, on the one hand, I did enjoy that Pretty Deadly got to wrestle. I can't remember the last time they had a tag match, just regular tag match on SmackDown. So that was nice, but it was long.
Well, that too. But also, like, they were the heels in this match, and they got cheated out of the match. That's bad when that happens, when they do that to you.
I think they're baby faces a little bit, though. They're, like, going to turn babyface at some point and then maybe start winning, because they had that whole deal with Ciampa and Gargano backstage where they're like, hey, you were supposed to help us. We helped you last week. And they're like, we don't need your help and whatever. And Gargano's like, no, we're cool guys. We're friends. And we're going to give you a tag title shot. We just have to work things out and everything. And then they walk away. And Apollo Crews shows up. And he's like, man, they're not going to give you a title shot. You're dreaming. Get out of here. And then Pretty Deadly's like, oh, I don't know. You know, like they're all like distressed. And I think that's, you know, the beginning of a turn for Pretty Deadly to kind of turn babyface and maybe get that tag title shot and possibly win. You know, I don't know. But, yeah, I think there's something going on with them. I mean, they're getting a lot of mic time. They can talk.
Yeah, I felt in the match they didn't really look very impressive whatsoever, but they are characters that stand out, and I think people enjoy seeing them get beat up. Like, I know you seem to like them, but I felt the crowd did not enjoy them and were actually cheering for the Garzas. Even though the Garzas cheated, they were actually happy about that. So they were just enjoyable to see get beat up.
I think, again, John, because we watch so much pro wrestling, because I mean, you know, we watch the same amount of wrestling, but we like different things, right? But I'm seeing Pretty Deadly, and I'm seeing how entertaining they are, and I'm seeing how they're getting over with me and with the people around me, and I go, there's something to these guys. And I feel like a lot of people, you know, in the crowd, a lot of people that, you know, watch wrestling don't watch as much of it as I do, so maybe haven't seen as much Pretty Deadly to really know who they are or appreciate them in any kind of way. So when you see them come out, you're just like, oh, it's a yes boy, whatever. It's this old gimmick. We've seen it time and time again. It's not anything new or fresh, but you got to kind of dig deeper and pay closer attention to what they do. And I think the one positive of having a 3-hour SmackDown is you will get to see more of Pretty Deadly. The audience will get to be more familiar with them, and I think that they will grow to like them because they're likable. They're entertaining. They're fun. And you just don't really have much of that in the tag team division, and especially with the backdrop of the Motor City Machine Guns and Los Garzas and DIY, those bland teams with no personality. Pretty Deadly's going to stand out. So I think it's positive. I think people will like them. You just got to give it some time. This is a trend that I'm seeing, you know. I called Daniel Bryan, what, years ahead of it? I mean, I call people way ahead.
I mean, you called the former ROH World Champion like, oh, he's going to be one of the best. Like, who out of the former ROH champions, the great ROH World Champions, weren't like eventual greats, like, or up among top caliber promotions? Like, most of them were, no?
I guess, but it was never like
for sure, yeah,
like an obvious that, you know, that these guys would be the best. But I was always pushing for Daniel Bryan always. I was always pushing for Bryan. Like when Punk was running everything. And when he was saying he was the best in the world, I was on the show with you saying, I mean, he is, except for Daniel Bryan. Because Daniel Bryan is actually the best in the world. Because if you paid close attention, you realize, like, well, he's much better. He's much better.
Well,
he's always been
now,
better.
Fast forward now, it's clearly not the case, but
he's not wrestling right now. If he were to wrestle, his matches would be better. Bryan's matches last year were better than Punk's matches.
I mean, again, it's an arguable thing because I thought Drew McIntyre CM Punk was the best match last year, Hell in a Cell, but
you thought it was better than Bryan and Ospreay?
Again, like the story was better built towards that, and I think that gives it the edge because, like Ospreay and Bryan, it's a good match, but story-wise, they didn't really have much to work with there.
Bryan did some incredible stuff. I mean, whatever. Punk is great. I'm not taking anything away from Punk, but I'm a Daniel Bryan guy. I'm a Bryan Danielson guy. The American Dragon is the superior talent.
He had a better story.
Punk knows it
Swerve.
too.
Bryan had a better story with Swerve.
Mm-hmm.
The whole like all in thing, that was a better story than it was with Ospreay.
Yeah, an incredible match too.
Incredible. Daughter crying, it was good at the moment.
So good. Bryan's the best. Oh, and he's gonna come back and he's gonna beat up somebody. Probably
going back to WWE. Nikki Bella went back to WWE, so is Bryan going back too?
I don't think so. Okay. Yeah, Nikki was in the crowd dancing. Yeah. SmackDown tonight, we had LA Knight, Shinsuke Nakamura. You had Motor City Machine Guns beating A-Town Down Under. You know, like we had some of these matches. We had that 4-way with Nia and Bianca, Naomi and Bayley. That was a long match. The Motor City Machine Guns A-Town Down Under match took forever. They're trying to push a tag team division, but it's all they got.
I love them saying on commentary, it's like, oh, we got one set of tag titles. We have so many hungry tag teams. And I'm like, ooh, this is going to be some rough things to watch. They're trying to push this, and they definitely are trying.
They're trying. They got to fill time, man. They got a 3-hour show. They've got Motor City Machine Guns, DIY, Los Garzas, Pretty Deadly, Street Profits. That's their division, and they're going to run with it.
Again, I think Street Profits, that's the team that should be the tag team champions in the end. We'll see how it all shakes out at Mania.
Mm-hmm. What did you think of the fans booing Hogan? I talked about it a little bit last night with Freddie and AJ. What did you think?
You talked about it.
Huh?
You have to show you guys talked about it.
Yeah, well, it was big news, man. It made, real news, like CNN and stuff. It's a big deal.
Well, it made it for different reasons, right? Because everyone has different reasons for why it happened. Oh, it's because Hogan made racist comments. Oh, it's because Hogan supports Trump and he was at the rally and that's why. And people are anti because that was more of a liberal kind of area in LA, I guess. So it's, and I think you threw it out there too. Hogan, there's been a lot of tall tales that he tells, and a lot of people are probably sick of that and sick of what he says and don't believe what any time he talks anymore. So there's a number of reasons, and I'm sure that all adds up. But I think the main thing that really comes off is in WWE, what has he done that has changed from that time that he was with Titus O'Neil?
Nothing.
Exactly. So, why would the WWE audience, change their opinion of Hogan when they have been given no reason to change it?
Mm-hmm. Don't know. Right? And, of course, like I said last night, who do you blame for that? Because they trotted him out there with a babyface promo to get a babyface reaction, and the crowd booed him out of the building like he was Dominic Mysterio. So, I mean, it wasn't unexpected. I didn't expect him to get a great reaction. I didn't expect him to get booed so hard like he couldn't get a word out. He just had to talk through it and ignore it. I don't know if he could hear it or whatever. He seemed to be unaware, but I think he knew. He just had to power through. He had to ignore it. He wasn't going to change up on the spot. That wasn't the time. So he just had to go through it, which sucks for him. But, like, who set that up? Whose idea was that? It was the game's idea. I'm the cerebral assassin. I've got the best ideas. They love Hogan. They just saw him at the Republican convention. He's so over. Everybody voted for Trump. I love Trump. Me and Stephanie were at Mar-a-Lago on New Year's Eve. We had a great time. Everybody loves Trump. Oh, my God. Maybe they don't. Wait a second. It's the Undertaker. They love him. What the hell? You know, like, what? So I don't think it's the Trump thing necessarily. Maybe the racist thing. I think there's a combination. There's a swirling thing. There's like some people that don't like him because of Trump. There's some people that don't like him because of some racist stuff. There's some people that don't like him because of some of the things that he's done and said within the context of pro wrestling. There's a lot of reasons why people don't like Hulk Hogan, and I think there's more reasons for a lot of people to dislike him than to like him, because a lot of those people that dislike him and are there and are watching wrestling nowadays are maybe too young to be Hulkamaniacs and remember the good times with Hulk Hogan, and maybe he wasn't the guy that brought them into pro wrestling. Maybe it was John Cena or Batista or Becky Lynch or something. You know what I mean? Who knows who these fans are and what has drawn them to professional wrestling and what they were into, you know, whatever. But I love Hulk Hogan because he was my guy when I was a kid. Like, when I first started watching wrestling, he was the guy. He was the reason why I started watching wrestling. And I like him because of that. He was cool. He was fun. He was great. And I have a lot of respect for him because, you know, he's 71. He can barely move. His body is a wreck. And that's because of everything that he's done in pro wrestling. And you could say, well, he made a lot of money and everything. Yeah, but so did everybody else. And, you know, you ask the people that worked with Hogan in the 80s and the 90s, you know, they would go and thank him for being on the shows because they made more money, because they sold more tickets for those shows, because Hulk Hogan was drawing them in. The boys would all go thank Hogan at the end of the night for drawing the house and making them money. I mean, this is a fact. These are things that happened. He main evented, 8 of the 9 first Manias, John?
He did, yes.
I mean, his impact on professional wrestling is greater than maybe any other wrestler ever.
It's definitely up there. I mean,
he helped put the WWF, what we know now as the juggernaut that is the WWE, on the map. Without the Hulkster, without Hulkamania, if he decides to stay with Vern, does Vince succeed?
I think he still does.
I don't. With who?
I think he could have done it with Dusty. I think he could have really done it. Dusty had the charisma to do it.
Dusty's not drawing you in. Dusty's not drawing in the kids.
Dusty had that larger-than-life kind of feel to him.
Not like Hogan. Hogan was larger than life because when I saw Hulk Hogan, I had no idea it was possible to be that jacked. When I saw Dusty Rhodes when I was a kid, I was like, oh yeah, I knew you could be that fat. I've seen that before. That's regular. That's normal. I've seen fat guys before. I've never seen a jacked guy with his eyes bulging out of his head going nuts. Let me tell you something, brother. I was like, what the fuck is this? This guy's crazy. I love it. He was ridiculously jacked and oily and a strange color that I had never seen on a human before. It was, I mean, you talk about larger than life. He's an icon. I don't think Dusty would have worked. And you can say that it would have or whatever, but the fact of the matter remains, it wasn't Dusty. It was Hogan. And it worked. It really worked. You could say, and Vince didn't want, he wanted Hogan.
Right. And hey, yeah, it worked. That's great.
No shit. Look where we are now.
Yeah, it's fantastic what he did in the 80s and even the 90s. Like, what he did to help shape wrestling to what it is now, it's one of the greatest things ever in wrestling. However...
changed the business twice. Once with the Rock and Wrestling, and then again in the Attitude Era with NWO. Twice.
The big thing is, you were talking about all these people that talk about how, they owe everything to Hogan. But look at the people now talking about Hogan. Look at guys like CM Punk. I mean, Jesse Ventura, I guess, since day one, so I don't know if Jesse Ventura really counts, because Jesse Ventura was always against them. But you look at, like our role model, Bret Hart, what he thinks about Hulk Hogan, and that's it. Like, when other people's role models pretty much put down Hogan,
yes,
what do you think of most people are going to think? Like, there's not a lot of people that put over Hogan these days. Maybe a lot of people that don't wrestle anymore do it. Like Ted DiBiase would put him over and all that stuff, of course. Mm-hmm. And I think for a lot of people who were friends with Macho Man, and I think it's pretty well documented, there was a bit of a rift there with Macho and Hogan. So whenever Hogan puts over Macho Man, like he did on Raw, people resent that for Hogan because they realize they weren't exactly buddy-buddy at the end there.
Yes. Although Hogan says that they were friends again, that they had seen each other before he died and they had made up and it was all great and Macho was super happy and it was lovely. But a lot of people don't believe that because Hogan has said so many lies over the years. You go, really though, Hogan? Is that true? Because that story only came out after Macho Man died. I didn't hear Hogan say anything about befriending the Macho Man again while he was still alive. Last I heard, they hated each other. Macho wanted to beat him up. He was writing rap diss songs about him. Be a man, Hulk Hogan, be a man. Like, that was a song. You could look it up.
Challenge him to a fight.
Challenge him to a fight. Wasn't there a thing in TNA?
Yeah, Macho Man quit TNA because of Hogan.
Yeah, because Macho was kind of doing some stuff with TNA, and then Hogan and Bischoff came in, and Macho kind of, like, disappeared. Wasn't he supposed to be on a show, and he no-showed because he knew Hogan was going to be there? Which was kind of funny. I remember thinking, like, ooh, Macho kind of bitched out here. Macho's talking all this mess about wanting to fight Hogan. Hogan shows up. Macho dips. What's up, Mach? What up, Mach? Ooh, yeah.
Apparently, he complained about an unsafe work environment. So I don't know.
Yeah, but he's talking
happened.
shit about, like, I'm going to fight you, Hogan, when I see you, brother. And then, like, Hogan shows up and he's like, it's an unsafe work environment. I'm scared of Hulk Hogan. Come on, Macho. I mean, no disrespect. I don't want to disrespect the dead, but, like, I remember thinking that was a bitch move on Macho Man's part. You're talking all this shit about Hogan. He shows up, and then you're like, oh, I'm scared. He's going to get me. It's like, well, don't talk. What are you talking shit for, Macho Man? See, like, people want to shit on Hogan, but, again, certain situations you go, well, fuck. And a
Right.
lot
Well,
of
you
people
could.
hate Hogan, and not many people have good things to say about Hulk Hogan, and I totally get it. Like, I get it. You know? Sure. He's not great. But he still is who he is. He still did what he did. And it's hard to imagine that the WWE would be as big as it is now without Hulk Hogan being the guy that started it and paved the way. And for him to get booed out of the building on such a huge night for pro wrestling and the WWE and all of that is a little sad. But, you know, it's kind of like you make your bed, you sleep in it. That's what you get, Hulk. It was also very funny. My reaction was laughing my ass off seeing Hogan get booed because I knew that wasn't the reaction that they intended. And that's always funny. Pro wrestling fans showed up. Pro wrestling fans said, hey, WWE, we're being nice. We're cheering everything. The Rock is a babyface. We're cool with it. We're happy. Everybody's cool. We're cheering Netflix. We're cheering the fact you're charging us a bunch of money for tickets. But we still hate Hogan, and we're going to let you know it. We're not, you know. And it was also the point in the show where it was just kind of like, okay, it's long, and like, what are we doing next? And oh, here's Hulk Hogan to talk for some reason to just promote nothing. And the fans were like, no, this sucks. You're not having a match. You're not doing anything. You're just coming out to say you have beer, to say you're on Netflix, and to say you've been in the WWE for a long time. He didn't say anything. He didn't give them anything to cheer about. You know? And they thought that they would get a positive reaction. How? Like, I didn't think that the fans would react positively to him. I didn't think it would be that bad, but I didn't think it would be good. I knew he would get booed. If you paid attention to how the fans have been reacting to him over the past few years, like when he was at WrestleMania with Titus, they stuck him out there as the guest. Him and Titus were the hosts of WrestleMania. It's like, here's Hulk Hogan, and oh, here's Titus O'Neil, who we haven't seen in like a year. We're going to bring him out as the host of WrestleMania. Why? No reason. He's just going to stand next to Hulk Hogan like they're best of friends. What do you mean, why is Titus here? Stop asking that question. Don't be racist. What? You know what I mean? That was crazy. That was a Vince McMahon decision for sure. Hey, pal, Hulk can't be racist if he's with Titus. Don't you know Titus is a black man? Yeah.
I think we need to be fair though, because like it wasn't all booze though. Like there were some people cheering for Hogan. Like you saw when this
Pat
started.
McAfee.
Yeah, Pat McAfee was cheering, and even they went to the crowd shots. They had it set up where they knew people would be cheering for him, so they had some people cheering regardless. There were people set up for that, so
Yeah.
it wasn't completely booze. It was very loud booze, and I say probably the majority were booing, but it wasn't completely. So we've got to be fair about that. And you know, Hogan, I'm just surprised more in the sense that you could have had Steve Austin beer, but you went with Hogan beer instead. Like, I don't know, Austin like had been around for so long, like, and didn't Austin bring his beer before? And like they never did like a sponsorship deal, but Hogan, like, very recently has beer, and bam, right away sponsorship. I don't know. I think Austin would have been the better choice.
You think Hogan would get booed here in Montreal?
You know, that's funny. Like, I think in Montreal he'd be okay. In Toronto, I think he'd probably get booed. Because Toronto's like that. Remember Toronto booed The Rock and all that? Like, in that WrestleMania 18 match? Because Toronto's like that. Montreal's kind of like that too, but Montreal, I think there's
like Hogan.
More respect. There's respect towards like legends like Hogan like that. So yeah.
I just wonder, you know, because I remember the night after WrestleMania with The Rock, the Raw,
of course,
at the Bell Center, and the ovation for Hogan, and how we all felt in that building. It was like a moment, you know, And
You
like,
helped
but
carry Hogan.
this is what's hard to reconcile for me, John, is like, I remember that. I remember being there. I remember the reaction and the feeling, and like nothing really comparing to it in all my years of going to all the WWE shows that have ever been here. That was a moment that I'll never forget in my life. So from the fans just adoring this man, to what I saw Monday night, it's just like, what happened, dude? What happened to Big Terry?
Well,
You stop dropping the leg drop and people forget, man. No more leg drops and people are like, fuck you, dude. We hate you now. I don't know. I think he's got to drop the leg on a brother to, remind people of who he is. It's the Hulkamaniac.
No, I don't think. I think that might be the problem in a sense, is that he put himself too much in the public eye, and people kind of got sick of it, because that was before he kind of threw his family out there, and then he had his own reality show, and then he's doing like another show.
Work out so well.
That didn't work out so well whatsoever. It ruined his family.
Mm-hmm.
And then he did another show with Bischoff, and then they did TNA afterwards, and a lot of things that just didn't sadly work out for him. And then he
the
tried to
racist
come
tape
back,
that came out, and
that came out.
I don't know if the Trump stuff necessarily hurts him. Trump is very popular. Like, you talk about people are saying, "Oh, it's a Trump stuff and everything," but like, I'm not sure that it was a lot to do with that. It could have been other. I feel like it was more other things, because like you talk about blue states and everything. LA is a very kind of left leaning crowd, but New York City, that's a blue area. And when Donald Trump walks out for a UFC event in New York City, like, he gets a standing ovation. They love him.
I was just going to bring this up too. Like Hogan, when he came out the UFC, didn't he get kind of a cheer as well?
Yeah, UFC and WWE, I guess, it's just a different audience. It's a different crowd with different values, different leanings,
totally
politically, right?
Totally kind of, and again, maybe it didn't help Hogan, like in terms of how people perceived him, but he came out to Kobe Covington, and not exactly the most endearing individual in the world whatsoever. So Hogan coming out with him, like, some people would be like, well, like, Hogan, maybe not the greatest guy in the world if he comes out with that guy.
You're not wrong about that. Kobe Covington is also detestable. Big Terry. It's all gone wrong for Hulk Hogan. It was pretty damn funny, though. And, like, they're still advertising him to be at Saturday night's main event in a couple of weeks.
I mean, if you're going to be a sponsor, part owner with the beer, I mean, you're kind of stuck with it, right? So just going to have to work with it and see what you can off of it. If anything, just be smart and don't put Jesse Ventura and Hogan in the same area, because that's going to be a disaster.
Please do. Put it on camera.
Don't do it.
It's all I want to see.
It's not worth it. Again, like, we don't need a WWE to have like a brawl out kind of thing.
Damn it, pal. We're trying to make moments here.
They're in their 70s.
Good TV.
Come on.
We gotta push the envelope. No more of this boring Triple H shit. Didn't you see I beat the government? I'm coming back.
Are we going to talk about Vince too as well?
Yeah,
wow.
Vince says he's good. It's all behind him. Right? What'd he say?
Doesn't mean he's coming back though. Like, we need to state that right now too. It's not 100% sure Vince is coming back. He just said like he's won and it's over with him with the whole lawsuit.
Damn, Vince got community noted on Twitter.
Oh wow.
Oh, it's so good. Okay. Vince McMahon today. The case is closed. Today ends nearly 3 years of investigation by different governmental agencies. There's been a great deal of speculation about what exactly the government was investigating and what the outcome would be. As today's resolution shows, much of that speculation was misguided and misleading. In the end, there was never anything more to this than minor accounting errors with regard to some personal payments that I made several years ago while I was CEO of WWE. I'm thrilled that I can now put all of this behind me. Pal. Not enough pals in there. Hey, pal. The case is closed. So he's saying, you know, they were investigating him because of money that they said that it was WWE money that he used personally. But then the readers added context. Vince McMahon settled with the SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission, without denying its findings. So he settled. He just gave them money without admitting or denying what they found. The case is closed, but like, okay, you settled. This was exclusively about the hush money charges, right? The money that apparently he used from WWE and then whatever. Janelle Grant, her civil suit will go forward and use these findings as evidence according to her attorney. And this is context from an ESPN and NBC News story. Also, you know, there are criminal investigations still underway in New York. So, I mean, the case is closed. It's a little misleading, but I found it interesting that Vince was kind of celebrating today. I did it! I beat the government again. They can't beat me. Quite frankly, I beat them every time.
Well, we're not going to see Vince on Raw.
Huh?
No, we're not going to see him on Raw now after that.
Oh, yeah. Really. He was missing, man. I mean, come on. It's a big night for WWE, and they don't have the founder of the company there. How could they? I'm kidding, of course. He should not be there. I don't think he will ever be back. I think that's it. The Vince era is over, right? Probably. Although the climate is, you know, it's ripe for Vince. It's kind of like, at this time, Vince could come back.
Don't forget what your buddy John Cena said. Never say never, right?
Never
WWE.
say never, pal. Vince is going to come back, but like not in any kind of CEO role, like no backstage role. He's just going to be the manager of Brock Lesnar.
Interesting.
That'd be fucking crazy. How good would that be? I think he'd be great at it. That would be something. If Vince came back and he's just managing Brock, he's like, me and Brock are back. I'm sick of everybody. We're taking over. You know? It's not bad, honestly. If you want to forgive all the bullshit that Vince and Brock have done, you know, bringing them in together would be kind of fun.
It's not bad, but I think him as like an imposing authority figure to Triple H, I think that's a better story. I mean, you can still have Brock because someone has to get physical, so
yeah,
have Brock around as his enforcer, but I think have Vince as an authority figure is the best way to go.
But I think probably no Vince at all. No Vince at all.
Yeah, or just hypothetically, like, let's say this is what should happen.
Didn't they show Brock on like a video package?
Possibly. I wasn't paying attention if they did.
Yeah, I saw Brock on something on Raw. I was like, ooh, okay. Still in the video packages. Interesting. It was like one of the, I think it was like in the history of the, you know, the WWE, they had an image of Brock.
Did they go back to the old Raw theme?
For a moment there. Did you see Bryan Danielson or Chris Jericho in that whole video package?
I think I did. I'm pretty sure I did.
I don't remember seeing any yes.
I think there was a moment where they had that whole yes movement. I think they showed that for like a second.
I hope they did. They shouldn't omit that. That was a big deal. Well, John, they did it. They went to Netflix. WWE's on Netflix. For us in Canada, it's super easy. Everything WWE, it's all on Netflix. Raw, SmackDown, premium live events, everything. It's all there. For Americans, it's much more complicated. It's like USA Network, CW for NXT, Raw's on Netflix. The premium live events, I think, are still on Peacock, right?
Oh, yeah? I didn't know that. Wow.
I don't know. I think they are.
Okay. Wow. It should be on Netflix. I would hope for them.
I think it's
Wow.
just Raw.
Yikes. It's a bit harder, I guess, for the U.S.
Yeah,
Oh, well.
I don't pay attention so much like what they're doing because it doesn't affect me at all because I live here. For now, we are a separate country, so, different things.
I think for pretty much our lifetime it's going to be that too. I hope, anyways. It should be. Throw that out there.
Honestly, though, John, if you didn't have to, like, for you and so many pro wrestlers, if you didn't have to worry about a work visa.
There's so many other headaches you'd have.
I know, but just think about wrestling opportunity.
I don't know. Again, it would still hurt it, though. The huge thing, and this is gigantic, because it goes with the wrestling, too, is the Medicare as well. It's a nightmare in the States.
Yeah.
Imagine we have that as well. Like, I mean, that goes with the wrestling, man. So,
yeah,
it's important.
Yeah. But if you're getting like lots of bookings in the States, you're getting over in the States, you're making so much money, you could afford insurance. You know what I'm saying?
I suppose bet on yourself. Yeah, it could work out. Maybe.
Yeah.
Still think
I'm not advocating for anything here, John. I'm just saying, I'm looking at all the possibilities and thinking, it might not be the worst thing. I mean, there are pluses and minuses, I think, to the idea. Like, I don't think it's a fully bad idea. I don't think it's something that should happen. I think Canada should probably remain a country. It feels like the right move. But, like, I could see certain advantages to being a part of America because we could, like, go there and work there and do things there, take over their country. Bunch of Canadian migrants showing up, just running the show. I don't think they'd like that so much. So, I think there are certain advantages that we might have, but I think overall it's nice to keep things separate. I wouldn't mind, like, having the option to live and work in a warm climate, though. That is, like, kind of nice that they have that we don't have. Like, in Canada, if you want to move from one province to another, you're going to deal with some cold winters no matter where you are. There's varying degrees, I guess, of cold winters, but you're not going to move anywhere where it's like 20, 25 in January in Canada. You're not getting that. There are places in the States where it's like hot right now. You could be in shorts and a t-shirt. You can't do that in Canada right now. Nobody's wearing flip-flops in Canada. It's not pool time in Canada. There are people in America by a pool right now. That's what I'm saying. They have that option, which intrigues me. It would be nice. It'd be nice to have the option, John, is all I'm saying. We don't have the option in Canada because of the weather. The weather sucks. I hate winter.
we've had some cold weeks recently, without question. It seems like it's getting colder and colder. I mean, this is what happens.
It sucks.
This is Canadian weather that we've experienced for pretty much our whole lifetime. So it's really not that bad when you think about it. We've had much worse winters in the past, so this is actually pretty tame from what we've had in the past. If anything, we've been a bit spoiled the last couple of years. So when it gets a little bit colder, more so than maybe past years, it's like, ooh, it's kind of rough. But really, it's not that bad. And like, if to me, it just seems like you're in that whole state of like, you feel like you're old now, so you have to go to retirement weather or something. But I think you're.
And I'd rather wear like a sweater and a winter jacket than a bulletproof vest, for example. You know what I mean? I'll take being cold over the fear of being shot, I would say, any day overall. And I think that's another plus that we have in Canada is that, I'm never in fear of being shot at. There are guns in America. There's a lot of guns, We don't really have guns here. And it's nice because you're not scared that somebody might shoot you. In the States, somebody might shoot you. They shoot each other, like, often. It doesn't happen that much here. I mean, it happens, but, like, You don't go to a mall or a movie and think, "Oh shit," you know. It's like a different vibe over there. So that element is a little like, I don't like it. I don't like that part, you know. I don't know if I would want the borders to open up and then all of a sudden it's like dangerous. Seems dangerous.
We had a school shooting at the school we went to.
Yeah,
we had just graduated, thankfully. So
yeah. But
it's rare.
Yeah, it's more rare here than it is over there, right? It seems to happen more often there. So I don't like that so much. That's like a little, worrisome. I hope it doesn't start happening more here. That would be bad. Getting shot is bad, I would say. Getting shot with a bullet, unless you're 50 Cent, is usually detrimental to your life. For 50 Cent, it worked very well for him. Like he did very well off of that. But, when's 50 Cent going to get into wrestling? Travis Scott was there on Raw this week, smoking weed. I think the first guy to ever smoke weed on Raw. Am I wrong about that?
I mean, R-Truth smoked a cigarette, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I guess he was the first one to do it. And, again, like, it's part of the show, right? They can just say it's part of the show.
Yeah.
That's how they get away with it, I think.
Yeah, that's cool. That was a good entrance.
Well, except for that stupid stuff with McAfee and Michael Cole, but whatever. Like,
yeah. Why did they have to get up? It's not about you, Pat McAfee.
Because they like to just, add to the whole atmosphere of the entrance. So that's why they did it.
He embarrassed himself doing that. And then, cheering for Hogan one day, and then he goes on his show, McAfee, the next day, like, making fun of Hogan, ripping him. It's like, come on. Don't say, oh, they made me cheer for Hogan. I didn't want to. It's like, yeah, come on, really? You seem to go into business for yourself quite a bit on that show. I don't think you had to go nuts for Hogan. Then when you realize the tide had turned on him, you're like, oh, yeah, me too. I don't like him either, right, guys? Cowardly stuff. Real weak. Not impressed with Pat McAfee in the wrestling space. I know he's very popular in the football world, the sports world. People like him. But what I've seen from him in pro wrestling, it's very, clown behavior. Not honorable. No honor. You got to have more honor in pro wrestling. A lot of people think you don't, but you really do. You got to be respectful. There's a respect and a code that he's not sticking to. And I think he's so rich and powerful and, the management likes him that people are scared to say anything to him. But, Undertaker should pull him aside and be like, hey, listen, don't do that. Roman Reigns should pull him aside and say, hey, we don't do that. When Jimmy Uso's doing his entrance as Jimmy Uso, you sit down. You don't jump up on the announce table. Somebody should say something to him.
The thing is, the whole, this is the way it should be kind of thing, I don't disagree with you. There's certain things that should be respected, but there's this whole belief now that it's like, oh, we got to do away with traditions and think outside the box. And I think that's their mentality, is that he brings that whole new wave kind of energy. It's unpredictable. You don't know what he's going to do. It's new excitement. So that's why it's fine. And that's why I think they kind of like it, because it's a different form of entertainment from a different sport that he's bringing it in. So maybe he'll bring in a different audience. So yeah, it's weird and different to us, but to the fact that he'll bring in the fan base and he'll bring in the attention, then it's worth it, I think, for WWE, the way they look at it. And I guess he's still likable with a lot of people. So as long as that works out, it's fine, I think. I agree with you. I think it's kind of stupid and all that, and it takes away a lot from what they're trying to do, try to make it serious in a lot of capacities. But I don't think people like Taker really care at this point. Taker's, I think, expressed his frustrations many times in the past, and yeah, I think he understands too. It's just the way things are now.
I guess it's just what it is. It's just how they are. Tradition be damned. People's moments be damned. You know what I mean? If I'm Jey Uso, I'm annoyed that Pat McAfee is drawing attention to himself when the attention should be on me. This is my moment. This is my night. But if Jey Uso's fine with it, I guess no one should have a problem with it. But who knows if Jey Uso's fine with it? Who knows? I don't know.
I think he probably thinks it adds to it because someone's going along with what I'm doing. That's probably
Sure.
the way he's looking at it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to disagree. However, I also agree with the idea that the announcers, for the most part, shouldn't be like involved in the whole act as well. Like that's taking it a step too far. And both of them did too. Like both of them are not neutral at all. Like that was a little way too off for me. And again, makes everything just look kind of corny and not great.
Yeah. Well, they were getting excited. It was a big party. It was a big celebration. Everybody was in a happy mood. It was a debut on Netflix, John. Sorry? I wanted to go to AEW. You have more WWE for me? I was about to jump.
One more thing. Just one before we jump. Like, I don't know what you thought, but that Liv Morgan Rhea Ripley match, I thought that was atrocious.
Yeah, it was not good.
So bad.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad we were on the same wavelength. We don't have to go too much into it, but I'm like, this was just really poorly put together. Like, in terms of match structure, what are we doing? Like, who put that together? That was just a bunch of moments that happened, like, nonsensical, just hit stuff, and then it's over. It's like, that's it? That was a big buildup? That was a potential WrestleMania match? Thank goodness that didn't make WrestleMania.
Did we see somebody kick out of a finisher in every match on Raw?
Oh, wow. I think you're right. Damn.
Jay kicked out of the Claymore.
Mm-hmm.
I think didn't Liv kick out of the Riptide or something?
Well, she had it like 4 or 5 in the end, right?
Yeah.
To beat her, so yeah.
Yeah. I think Punk did Punk. Yeah, Seth and Punk both kicked out of their finishers. Roman kicked out of the spike.
Yep. Yeah.
Those are all the matches. Like, that to me is a sign of, like, we don't know what the hell we're doing. How do you make a match entertaining? Well, let's do a false finish. Okay, well, we do a lot of those. Well, let's do, like, a kick out of a finisher false finish. Ooh. It's the type of thing where they usually just do at WrestleMania, which is also kind of lame, where they go, oh, at WrestleMania, you can kick out of usually a Claymore would put you down, but it's Raw, Netflix's premiere, so you're going to kick out. And the fact that it wasn't just 1 or 2 matches, it was every single match on the show. Come on. Like, it's not very imaginative to make the match interesting, to make a story, to really. And I think, again, like I said at the top of our show here, John, nothing really stood out. No match made me go, wow, that was great. And it was a lot of same from everybody. And, a lot of just, well, let's just do a big false finish. And everybody did it.
Yeah. It's kind of goes to show, like, there was some good parts of Raw and not so good parts of Raw, and, like, some parts where it's like, why do you do that?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was a mixed bag, I thought.
But I feel like the kicking out of the finisher for every match, that's like a fundamental thing that you look at overall in the WWE kind of big picture, and you go, what the hell's going on here? Who's booking this shit?
Well, I think
who's
they
paying
just
attention?
had the idea.
Like, what, you know what I mean? Like I get that it's a big night and whoa, but
right.
It's got to be special. But, like, to make it special, this is your only plan?
Yep.
This is all you have to make a match special? Well, I'll do my finisher and you'll kick out. And that's everybody's plan? Nobody has another plan? CM Punk, after seeing everybody do that in every match, you're a masterful wrestler. This is also your plan?
I feel with Punk and Rollins, they can kind of get through that because they have a lot more intensity involved with everything. So even when they hit little moves that aren't so impactful, they mean a bit more than anything else that everyone else hit in their matches. So yeah, they did the whole finisher thing as well, but if anything, they kind of have to, right? Because everyone else did it at that point.
Or you don't because everybody else did it.
I agree with that too.
I'd be more on that one. It just kind of overall, I was like, oh, we're kicking out of finishers now? That's what we're doing? And then as the night went on, I was like, oh, we're still doing that? And then every match, I was like, we're doing this in every match now? And by the end of the night, I was like, oh, Punk just took Seth's finish. That's not over. You know?
Mm.
Not good. It's not good. That's a producer problem, you know? That's an overall vision of the show problem. That's a not really paying attention to the important things problem. That's distraction. That's the production and the this and the that and the promos and the stars and the booking and the time and the tickets and the this and the executives and finishes are all be kind of whatever. Like I feel like the wrestling, the matches, the content in the ring was the last thought. They put in the stars, the production, the this and the that. And then they're like, oh, yeah, I guess we also have to have the matches too. And whatever, we'll figure that out. It was the least of it all. The promos were big. The entrances were big. Everything was big. The names were big. The matches were kind of okay. You know?
Well, again, Punk and Rollins, that stood out, but it wasn't hard to stand out. I think I said that before. And
here's sorry, yeah, go ahead.
Just in the end, like, it looked fantastic, and match-wise, it left something to be desired in the end, but not the worst episode again. Like, they did keep me intrigued for the 2.5 hours, so.
Yeah. I'm just talking about a structural, fundamental WWE wrestling issue that is fine on a night where they have The Rock and all these stars, but is it okay when this is your fallback plan to make a match interesting? You know? This is the thing. It's like they have one trick up their sleeve, and the trick isn't that impressive, and everybody pulls it. It's just like, okay, guys, there's got to be more to it. There's got to be more craftsmanship in the work. There's got to be more twists and turns. You got to make me believe without hitting your finisher. You got to find a way to make me believe it's over without hitting your finisher.
They struggled on that night, sadly.
Yeah. Yes, they did. And they just leaned on it very heavy. And I don't think there was a single match on Raw, despite all the big names and all the stars and all the stories, that was as good technically in the ring as the opening match on Dynamite, which was Will Ospreay and Buddy Matthews, which was fantastic. I thought it was better in the ring technically than anything that Raw really offered.
Well, I think a huge problem with a lot of those matches is, like you said, they relied too much on like the finishes, and like I felt maybe a bit so Punk and Rollins, but all those matches never really hit into another gear. They just kind of relied on the crowd reactions and, like you said, the finishes. So with that, it felt like they just worked their butts off. So they just outworked matches on Raw.
Mm-hmm. What does that say?
Well, that's the bread and butter for AEW. Or AEW, sorry.
Yeah.
Like that's the bread and butter, is to do that.
It's pretty good. I wish WWE could combine it. You know, like AEW, their stories and the production and this, you know, it's like not where WWE is, but the wrestling, my God, in the ring, you know, between the ropes. And WWE, it's like they've got all these things, but the wrestling in the ring, it's just not quite as, you know, a combination of the two would be nice.
The main focus in AEW is the wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
WWE, it's like the last thing they focus on. So
yes,
that's it.
Yes. Yeah, it's definitely what it feels like. But, you know, AEW Dynamite was a fine show. It was, you know, it was what it was. I thought Ospreay and Matthews was a fantastic opening match. Really good. And Ospreay said some stuff to Buddy Matthews, like, you don't need a leader, you don't need to be following that guy, and you and Brody King are great on your own. And there's word that Malachi Black's contract is running out soon. He's going to be a free agent. He's going to leave AEW, right? I saw that today. So I think they're writing him off.
This happens all the time, remember? Like, this happened the last time, too.
I know. Are they not writing him off? What do you think? I feel like this is it. This is actually the time where he's going to go.
Like, I think it's going to happen, but I think they're going to do more than just that. Like, I feel like we're building towards it. I don't think it's just going to now happen. I think eventually. But I think the House of Black will actually have, like, a final story with it all, I think, in the end.
I hope so. Fun match, though, between Ospreay and Matthews, and I think, you know, it opens up some sort of alliance between those two down the road. Who knows? They'd be a fun tag team.
I feel, again, we'll see when we get to the end of AEW. Like, I feel like Ospreay's going to maybe have another partner. I feel Kenny would be another partner instead, actually.
Yeah, for sure. We'll get to Ospreay and Kenny. I mean, why not do that? Kenny Omega came out and cut a promo, and then Don Callis interrupted him. And then Don Callis' guys attacked Brian Cage, Lance Archer, Kyle Fletcher, and then Will Ospreay showed up and made the save for Kenny with a steel chair, chasing everybody off, and then had like a stare down with Kenny, kind of looking at each other to end the show. They also announced Kenny's return match to AEW will be next week.
Yep.
Against Brian Cage. So that's fun. And yeah,
good match.
Might be Kenny and Ospreay against some of the Don Callis guys, you know, Kyle Fletcher and Brian Cage or something.
Be all right, I think. Decent match.
Nice to see Kenny back. Kenny had a great match over in Japan last week. He's back to his top level self. He hasn't missed a step. He's still the best bout machine, which is really good to see. After a year off and the health scare and everything that he's gone through, to see him come back in top form and to be able to deliver that kind of match in Japan, you know that he's going to come back to AEW and kill it. So it's very, very exciting to see this Kenny Omega back looking in great shape, rested. Like, he is a force. So to have him back on the show is fantastic. He's going to wrestle next week. I mean, we got Kenny Omega, MJF, Will Ospreay, Darby Allin all on the same show. Swerve Strickland, Hangman Page, Christian Cage, Edge. I mean, damn. It's good. It's very good. Adding Kenny to the mix it's huge. He's a top-level player. He can do everything. He's a legit main eventer, a legit world champion. Can wrestle with anybody and give them their best match. He's the man. So good to have him back. So huge for AEW to get Kenny Omega back. He is the centerpiece of the whole company in many ways. Without Kenny, AEW is not what it is. Maybe it doesn't exist.
I felt it was a little overkill though, because we kind of had the same kind of segment a little bit earlier with Edge and like, or Cope, sorry, and FTR and like the Death Riders, like, and then you had Hobbs came out for the save. It was kind of the same thing, practically. Yeah. And then you just saw it again not too long afterwards. So I felt like that kind of lacked creativity a little bit.
Again, you know, the booking, not that great. The segments, the promos, not that great. But the in-ring, you know, delivering. It's like opposite WWE. It really is. Except the women's division. The women's division in both companies is very good. That works.
I can't complain about the, and that was the main event too. I think the women's three-way. I can't complain about that. I thought that was a solid match-wise. Can't really complain. AEW, like, I didn't think there was a bad match on the show.
Chris Statlander won the Casino Gauntlet to beat Willow Nightingale and Toni Storm. Right?
She won the number one spot to be in the Casino Gauntlet. It wasn't a Casino Gauntlet match.
Oh, right. No, yeah, sorry. The triple threat to be in the Casino Gauntlet. Sorry, I misspoke there. Yeah, I was a little surprised Toni Storm didn't win.
Well, she kind of explained it, like, oh, like, it's just not her time right now, and she's going through that whole story thing. Also, she can still be in the match, even though I guess she said she's not going to be in the match. She can still be in the match, even though she's not the number one entrant in it. Like, Jay White was number one in the men's. Jay White didn't win. By the way, true. I know you don't like that whole, like, Casino Gauntlet thing, but I thought that was really well put together.
It worked. This one worked. Yeah. It was well booked. Yeah, it was well done. I don't love the concept of the match, but I thought it was fun, and it had nice twists and turns. You had Jay White, Hangman. That was fun to start off. Wheeler Yuta, Ricochet, Adam Cole. Man, when Ricochet came out, but Swerve's music hit instead, and then Ricochet came out instead of Swerve and did that to mess with everybody. Hangman's reaction to Swerve's music was fantastic. Just the facial expression on Hangman. He's so damn good. He can do everything.
A lot happened in that match.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't too overwhelming, too. So that's really good.
Yeah, the story kind of flowed and followed, and it was nice. You had Jeff Jarrett at the end, and he got taken out by the Death Riders. And then Hobbs wins, Will Hobbs, and he will face Jon Moxley next week in Cincinnati at AEW Dynamite Maximum Carnage for the world title. He won't win. He'll probably bleed, though.
Good chance of that. And he'll look strong because, I mean, they made him look good in the sense that he came in the ring and all the Death Riders all left the ring with just Hobbs coming at him. So they're going to make him look strong, but yeah, he's not going to win.
Yeah.
But the whole Jeff Jarrett, I know you aren't a fan of Jeff Jarrett, but I like the twists and turns that's going with right now in that story.
I mean, it's interesting. He's trying to win the world title. He was in the Casino Gauntlet. It didn't happen, but it was the world champion that kind of stopped him. So you figure at some point he's going to make his way there. And then MJF came out with this weird promo with Jeff Jarrett. Like, I enjoyed seeing MJF, and he was entertaining, and he was good. But his whole plan of, like, I will help you, Jeff Jarrett, win the title, and then you give me the first shot, that is the deal we will make. And Jeff Jarrett's like, no, I don't want to do that, slap nuts. And I'm like, all right, why would MJF do all that? I mean, I get it, to get a world title shot against an easy old man that he could beat easily, but, like, why not just work yourself to get the title instead of, like, do this whole weird thing where you get Jarrett the belt and then he gives you a shot, and then it's just like, why not just go for the belt? I think you can get it. It was weird. It was like a weird promo, and the motivation for MJF was kind of odd. Because he seems supremely confident. He wins his matches. Why wouldn't he just chase the belt himself? Why would he aid Jeff Jarrett in his pursuit and then get the belt afterwards? Why help Jeff Jarrett at all?
I think he kind of explained it a little bit there where he said, like, Dictator John, like, it's kind of a mess right now, the world title scene.
Right.
So that's why it's kind of, like, he could, potentially, but that seems to be a lot of work. And it's easier for someone else to do all that work instead of him. That seemed to be what he was trying to get at, I think.
Okay, so it's easier for him, MJF, to battle Wheeler Utah, Claudio Castagnoli, Marina Shafir, and sometimes Pac outside the ring, trying to help Jeff Jarrett inside the ring against Jon Moxley, who will be beating the living shit out of him. Like, how does that go exactly for MJF? Jeff Jarrett has the match with Jon Moxley. MJF is ringside there to help Jeff Jarrett. Jon Moxley has a crew of goons to stop MJF, while Jon Moxley beats up Jeff Jarrett and finishes him in like 5 minutes. Like, what's the plan? You know what I mean? MJF doesn't have an army behind him. Jon Moxley does. What would he really do? Play it out. It doesn't work.
No, it does work. Because Jeff Jarrett has a group.
Oh, I guess. Work. He's got Sanjay Dutt and Jay Lethal and the Satnam. That's his group?
Right. Yeah.
Cool. Is Briscoe part of his group there?
No, Briscoe's not a part of it. Briscoe's with
Orange Cassidy.
Ishii. Yeah, Orange Ishii and I think it's Rocky Romero. I think
is Kyle O'Reilly. No, Kyle O'Reilly's back with Adam Cole. He left that group.
Right.
Is he mad at those guys, or are they still friends?
They haven't really explained that part of it. You should watch Collision, I guess, tomorrow and find out.
You think they'll explain it on Collision, or we'll just ignore it and keep going?
By the way, like I don't know if you watched Collision because you.
I watched most of it, and I saw why did Jon Moxley beat the shit out of Rock and Roll Express? Just because he's mean?
Yeah. I think they're gonna be back on it too, or something. There's like a show in Knoxville or something they're gonna have, and like
Revenge.
I think there's gonna be a continuation of this. But like you got to see it on the USA Network in Canada, I still get to see it on TSN Plus. So it's great.
Weird.
Like they still have it available on TSN, so that's great.
Mm-hmm. Well, I like it that it's on TV, so I'm gonna watch Collision as often as I can. You know what? I really enjoyed Bobby Lashley and Mark Briscoe. Mark Briscoe takes a hell of a beating, and Bobby Lashley gives out a hell of a beating. So the styles matched up very, very well. I thought the match was a lot of fun.
That was enjoyable. Again, Bobby, another solid performance.
Yeah.
And I like the whole idea that it's going to be him and Sheldon against Private Party for the tag titles. I think they need to win the tag titles because the tag titles don't really mean much right now. Private Party, not the strongest tag team. I think Bobby and Sheldon could help bring up the tag team titles again.
Can they make up their mind whether they're heels or baby faces, though? Like, some weeks they come out and they're baby faces. They're making fun of Ricochet. They don't like him. And then this week they come out and they're attacking Mark Briscoe after the match, and they're making fun of Private Party, who I think are baby faces at this point. Like week to week, they've gone heel to babyface, back to heel, and they only have been in the company for like 2-3 months at most. Lashley's been in the company for, what, a month and a half? And he's gone heel, babyface. I think he started babyface, then went heel, then went back babyface, and now he's gone heel again. He's turned 4 times. Well, 3 times. He has, John. He's turned 3 times in a month and a half. AEW can't figure out if this group is heel or babyface.
I think the way they book them is just that they just have them appear and they have ideas for them. That's it.
It's fucking dumb. They don't have ideas. They're confused. You can't book a team babyface heel week to week.
That's what they're doing, though. And I honestly think they want to book them heel, but the crowd is cheering them too much.
They just got to stop playing the song.
Yeah, the song is very over. That's true.
It's the song.
Song's too over.
We heard people. We heard people. We heard people. I like it. I want to do it. But, like, that's a problem if you're a heel group.
I mean, and you look at those guys, and then you look at your baby faces. I mean, they're just cooler. I mean, they're cooler than most people in AEW. So,
well, that's it. If you look at like Shelton and Bobby, I'm not huge fans of Shelton and Bobby. I'm kind of like, oh, this is played out, whatever. But if it's between them and Private Party, I'll take Shelton and Bobby as tag team champions for sure. Like, Shelton
That's
and Bobby as, like, single stars in AEW, I'm not really here for. But Shelton and Bobby as tag team champions, as a good, solid tag team in AEW, that would work very well. I'm happy with that. Them as a tag team is good. Them by themselves is like, meh. I don't need to see Bobby Lashley beat Swerve. But Bobby and Shelton beating Private Party, Bobby and Shelton wrestling the Young Bucks, maybe beating them, that'd be fun. Bobby and Shelton versus FTR, like, those are fun matches. Give me Bobby and Shelton, like, on a run as a tag team. That is how I want them presented in AEW. Heel or babyface, whatever, as long as they're wrestling tags. But Bobby and Mark Briscoe singles match was good. But, like, a big run for Bobby as a singles, like, I don't need that. Bobby Lashley world champion or whatever, it's like, nah, man, make them tag team champions. Trios champions if you can get MVP in the ring for some reason, you know? Or they add Ricochet and they do trios, you know? But I think a group effort, teaming them up, that's the way to go. We hurt people. Okay?
I think there's a lot of potential with them. It's only just beginning. Like, the best is yet to come from them, I think.
I agree. Johnny, when's your next match? When can everybody see you?
So it's going to be at John Abbott College next Saturday. I believe bell time is 7:30 p.m. So come check it out. Jeremy Prophet's going to be on the show. It's going to be a really big show. And I believe tickets are only $10 at the show as well.
There you go. More info on his Twitter at North Genesis, on his Instagram at Genesis Johnny North. Follow me on all the things. Subscribe to the channel. Like this video. Subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment. And if you want, go and support over at join.ringsidereport.net or membership.ringsidereport.net, just like Angelo Contagonis did, CSL, RC Lorne, Leor, Patrick Deneau, and all the great supporters of the Ringside Report Network. I will be back here Thursday night, 8 p.m. to preview UFC 311. Oh, baby. UFC's going to L.A. next weekend, and they've got a big card. Islam Makhachev versus Arman Tsarukyan for the UFC Lightweight Championship in the main event. Then the co-main event, Merab Dvalishvili defending the UFC Bantamweight Championship against Umar Nurmagomedov. It is a sick card. Yuri Prohaska, Jamal Hill in a big-time light heavyweight fight. Next weekend, the UFC is going to kill it for their first pay-per-view of the year, and we're going to preview that thing Thursday night, 8 o'clock, and then next Saturday, we'll do the watch-along for UFC 311. And we're going to come original for UFC 311. You know what I mean? Investigate 311. All right, guys, we'll see you again real soon here on the Ringside Report Network.
Thanks for sticking with us to the end. We would really appreciate it if you could help us spread the word.
You know the drill. Hit that subscribe button, flip those notification switches.
We are an audience-supported network, so consider becoming a recurring supporter at membership.ringsidereport.net. Check out our website at ringsidereport.net. Hope to see you again next time, and have a good night.